Hey, how you doing? It is a Friday. Oh, it's a good feeling. It has been a long week. Thank you so much for checking this video out. I kind of wanted to ask a question that I haven't really asked before, but I would like to get to know more about you and your journey. So I want to know, what is your earliest memory with compulsive skin picking, aka dermatillomania? Your earliest memories, what you think triggered it, be as honest as you can, but I want you to be comfortable. I'm hoping that this is a comfortable environment for you to do so. So I'll quickly share my earliest memories, but in turn, I would love it if you could drop in the comment section below your earliest memories, because maybe there is some correlation. So let's get to it. Once again, I just want to say thank you so much for checking this video out. If you do like it, then please hit that like button. It helps me so much. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. So my earliest memory of dermatillomania, I remember when I was a kid, I used to bite my nails like crazy. I didn't even realize I was that I was highly sensitive. I didn't realize that I was picking up on a lot of the anxious behavior from my mum. I spent a lot of time with my mum because even though my mum and dad were together, my dad worked away. We did move to Oslo, Norway at one point when I was really young for us all to be together because he used to work offshore. But I spent the vast majority of my childhood, as did my sisters, with my mum, and she had to raise pretty much 3 young kids and have a little dog, a whole household on her own. And so I can only imagine it was really quite daunting and exhausting and really anxious for her to try and split her mind up in sections and be there for all of us. I definitely picked up on those signals. I'm the eldest child in my family, and so I was very much aware of when when my mother was feeling really anxious, and I would always want to go help as a child any way that I could. But of course I couldn't help with everything. I started to feel pretty guilty for the things that I couldn't do at an early age. So I would bite my nails quite a lot. I mean, like all the time, every day. I remember my mum used to buy all these things for me, those horrible, disgusting like nail liquor things that you'd put on, and one was like it was like a sponge, like a liquidy soaked sponge, and I still remember the taste in my mouth. When I think about it, I would be reading a magazine, as you are when you're a kid, or like watching TV, and just naturally I would be going to bite my nails, and like the taste, I'm like, would it stop me though? It stopped me at first, but I'd always end up just kind of getting used to the taste of doing it anyway. But I realised only recently, like only the past couple of years, I noticed that one day I just stopped doing it and I never went back to it. And for a long time I thought, wow, amazing, like I just grew out of it, or I just didn't want to do it anymore. And so for a while I thought, well, maybe that can be transferred onto the compulsive skin picking. Maybe one day I'll just not want to do it anymore. I'll just grow out of it, whatever. But when I think about it, actually, you know what happened? The compulsive behavior needing to be stimulated in a way, and if I'm feeling quite fed up or anxious or drained or frustrated or even just bored, like just doing nothing, bored, I know that there's always something I'm needing to regulate how I'm feeling in some way. And so for a long time when I was a child, it was biting my nails. But actually, when I did change, when I did stop my compulsive nail biting, it just went on to the skin picking. And for me, it was when I was about 13. It was when I was going through puberty, and obviously bodily changes, so my skin was changing. I noticed a lot more pimples all over the place that I didn't really know how to look after. And when you're a kid, when you're a young teen, you go for the like freedom and clean and clear, and I know like some people really love those brands, but really drying skincare ranges that are cheap, you can get them from your like drugstore, and just kind of made your skin a hell of a lot worse, made your skin quite dependent on it because it was drying out constantly from these products. I remember looking at my friends, and I remember this one time, I don't know why I think about it, but you just remember the most random stuff, right? I remember 2 of my friends who were skin picking, in the mirror. They were just kind of picking the pimples, and I remember saying, no, don't do it, like leave your skin alone, because I was mirroring what my dad told me. He must have seen me do it, or I mentioned it or whatever, and my dad said to me, leave your skin alone, don't touch it, you'll make it so much worse, you'll get lots more spots, just leave it alone. And so I was saying that to my own friends, because when you're a kid, if your parents said that, then it's true, right? But then what the turning point for me was, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that my dad and we were kind of knocking heads when I was around this age. We didn't have the closest of relationships, I think, because he worked offshore. We didn't spend a lot of time. We didn't really get that time to bond. And so he just kind of wanted to come home and chill, whereas I just kind of felt like, well, this guy's a stranger, like, who is this? Unfortunately, we had a lot of arguments when we were younger, but I did listen to what he was saying, and maybe that was a part of me that wanted to impress him or connect with him more. So I was listening to what he was saying, and I didn't do it because he said not to do it. But when I saw him skin pick, it was one day, and we used to have these like really, really bright lights in the bathroom back at home, and and I knew every time I'd use that light, I knew exactly what I was going in the bathroom for. But I remember kind of walking past and seeing him with this really, really bright light on, and I caught him skin picking. He was like skin picking his shoulder, and I could see like red marks all over him, and I didn't really think any of it. I surely didn't know anything about dermatillomania, so I was just like, well, that's hypocritical of him. He said don't do it, and then he's doing it. So it was as if I had like the green light, like, go, well, if dad's doing it, then I can do it. You know, screw what he says, because he's obviously not practicing what he's preaching to me. And so I started to do it because I saw a lot of my friends, you know, talking about like popping their pimples, or if I had a pimple and there was like a white head, my friends would say like, get rid of it, kind of thing. And so I must have just started doing it. But obviously at that time, that was when some things happened in my life that made me feel extremely low and really depressed, really anxious. And at that point, I must have jumped on skin picking as a way to self-soothe my own mind from feeling that way. I do think as a child I was quite anxious, and I picked up a lot because I am empathic, because I am also a highly sensitive person. As a kid, you don't really think about those things. You just kind of think everybody feels how you're feeling. But the compulsive skin picking started for me around 13 years old because of my skin, because of the changes in my body, my appearance, the pressure that all of a sudden I was feeling to like look a certain way. All of a sudden you've got like guys' attention, girls' attention, and you're just like, you're thinking about things that you weren't thinking about before. You know, you're thinking about, well, you know what teenagers think about. And so there was so much pressure at that time. I was like, right, okay, all of a sudden I have to look this way. I have to look clean and smooth and pretty, and how the celebrities look, like that's, you know, the dream. I've got to achieve that. And so there was a lot of low moods, anxious feelings and thoughts, this huge pressure that I was putting on myself, and I felt very pressured by people around me. And yeah, that just kind of, I think it became, in my own mind, this huge ball of just mess and needing that relief. And the more I skin picked, the more it gave me that, the more I was able to, in a weird way, control and manipulate my own body. So if I didn't want to do something, if I didn't want to go to a party or see this person or whatever it was, I could get myself out of it because I would skin pick to my heart's content, like the night before or hours before, so much so that I would cancel plans, and that in my own mind, that was me kind of saving myself from doing things that I didn't want to do. And in fact, what I needed was just to grow the confidence within myself to say, you know what, I don't want to do this. So that in a nutshell is kind of where it began for me, and I am 28 next week, so it's been a while. I'm really interested to hear about your own story. What is your earliest memory of dermatillomania? Is there anyone in your family? Is there anyone in your life that has been kind of giving off the same symptoms? Have you noticed anything? Anyone around you, friends that have maybe you've thought, have they done it? Some research that suggests that bodily focused repetitive behaviours connected to like anxiety disorder can be hereditary. So I don't know if my dad has it. Since coming out and talking about my dermatillomania, I know now that my youngest sister has it, but I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything for years. For many years I thought I was all alone. So I would be so interested to hear your story, what your thoughts are. Please drop them in the comment section below, and I look forward to reading more about it. Have a great weekend. I'll see you in 3 days. Bye.